me as Shiro from Voltron Legend of Thunder. Peter Parker and Spectacular Spider-Man, amongst other things. So basically this is going to be real informal. I'm just going to kind of open it up right away to everybody for questions. Whatever you want to ask about, whether it's about voice acting, business, voice acting, craft, any of the work that you're fans of that I've done, yeah, it's pretty much all up for grabs. So yeah, let's get some people at that mic. And
is that mic right there, sir? You see, you get your hand up and you're like, oh sweet, there's a microphone for me? And as long as no one gets in front of you, I'm just kidding, it's all you, it's all you.
What's up, Josh?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Awesome.
So, I wanted to know if when you played Shiro, did you really think it was going to blow up to be something this huge?
No, actually, well, I have hopes. I always have hopes whenever I'm on a new show that it's going to be like awesome and that it's going to really blow up. But you really can never know. And when I was working on it, I kind of had feelings that it would, because the scripts were so good. And the chemistry between the actors was so good. And then when I actually started seeing some of the animation come back when we were doing ADR and stuff, I was like, this is incredible. So, the further along I got in the process, the more I'm like, this has to blow up. It's just too good to not blow up. Like, the stories are fantastic. You fall in love with the characters. It deals with a lot of relevant topics today. And it's good TV. It's good TV, and it has a good message. And so I'm glad that kind of stuff is really resonating and blowing up. Love it.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
You don't have to wait till we're behind, so I'll go on up and ask one, and feel free to queue behind me. It's good, it's okay, I'm not gonna bite. But I'll even use this mic too, and then so line up behind me. What do you do to relax? You're doing this all the time, you're stressing your voice, and sometimes I'm sure you probably want to go home and watch cartoons or whatever, but what do you do just to chill?
To just chill out?
Yeah.
I actually like to play video games. I like to play really immersive video games. So like RPGs and stuff where there's like a world that I can just disappear into. I love that kind of stuff. I love music. I love playing music, singing, listening to music, and really just kind of sitting around. When I want to relax, I want to be lazy, and I don't want to do anything. And sometimes I just need to relax and not talk, because again, when you use your voice a lot, you can kind of stress your voice out. So sometimes you just need to not speak and be quiet and enjoy a game or enjoy a good show or a good movie. I like movies. I like watching stuff. I like playing stuff. So that kind of stuff. Stuff where I'm basically just vegging out TV. Yeah. Hello.
So, have you heard all of the other dubs of Voltron, in particular the Japanese version?
I haven't heard the Japanese. I'm assuming a Voltron Legendary Defender.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't heard the Japanese one yet.
Oh my God.
And I actually haven't heard like full versions of the other dubs, but when they came out with the season 2 trailer, I tried to find every single language of that trailer that I could find and listen to it, because I really wanted to hear it. And they're great. Like, I think my favorite out of all of them, the ones that I feel really, because all of them are great. Like everything that I saw was fantastic. But the ones that I saw that really I felt captured the best, the intention of the original dialogue and the vocal quality of all the original actors were some of the Nordic dubs. They're great. They're really, really good. They're like Frosted Flakes. But yeah, amazing. I want to see the Japanese one.
It's a time.
It's a time?
It's a time. Shiro sounds a little deep.
A little deep?
I was watching the scene between Zarkon and Shiro and I speak Japanese, so I wasn't really looking, but I had to look up during that scene or I wouldn't know who was talking.
Wow.
It was a little weird, but I really recommend you watch that.
I will take that recommendation and I will watch that. Absolutely will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
So, I was at the panel on Friday and you mentioned like singing, and we all know you love to sing because you stalk you on Twitter and watch the Bruno Mars thing 5 times. But so what's your favorite artist or genre to sing?
I love R&B music. That's what I grew up singing. That's really what I learned. Well, actually, I learned to sing. I was in a gospel group when I was like 13, 14, and that's kind of really where I started to develop my style and really learn what kind of stuff I love to sing, what kind of artists are really resonated with me, and then and then it really just became like R&B and soul music. And then the older I get, the less I stick in that box. Because when I was younger, I was like, oh, this is what I want to sing, this is what I want to do, and so I didn't really look at any other music because I was so focused on this. But now the older I get, I was really missing out on a lot of good music because I was just stuck in my R&B box. And so now I love everything. Like there's really not a lot of stuff that I won't listen to. Thank you. Hello.
So voice acting has always been an interest of mine, and I've always wanted to do that. So where should I begin with that?
First thing you should do is remember that it's voice acting. So it's at its core just another discipline of acting. So that's really where you're going to want to focus most of your training. You're going to want to take acting classes. You're going to want to take improv classes, because improv classes are fantastic for getting you to not care if you look stupid, or getting you to not feel like it's stupid, and just getting you to commit and go and let it happen, which is super important in voiceover, because you always got to be thinking on your feet, always got to be thinking fast. And cold reading. Cold reading is probably the most important skill you can have as a voice actor. And for those of you who don't know what cold reading is getting a script, having time to maybe read it a few times, 2-3 times, and then performing it. Like done, where you've made your choices, you've made your choices about the character, about what their feelings are about the scene, their intentions and all that, and you come with a performance. And that's a skill like anything else, and you'll get better at it by reading out loud. So read out loud whenever you can. Read to your cat, read to your dog, read to your brother or sister. It doesn't matter, because all it's going to do is get you familiar with looking ahead in the text while you're reading and performing what you're reading, so that it'll inform what the performance is going to be without you having to stop and say, oh wait, hold on, find your place. It'll get you faster in reading. So that's number one. And you can do that anywhere. You can do that anywhere, and it's super easy. But yeah, acting, cold reading, and also singing. I think that singing is super important for voice acting, because even if you can't sing, or think you can't sing yet. It's something that you will get better at if you practice. And it helps everything. I've said this a bunch of times, it's like yoga for your voice. It helps with your range, it helps with your breath control, it helps with your endurance and stamina, your pitch, your ear. It helps with everything. And it's good for warm-ups too. So I would definitely say those would be the things I would focus on in terms of training yourself. And then listen to everything, because anything can be a character. You're less likely to get hired because you can do impressions, because they're always going to judge your impressions against the original, and it's probably not going to be as good as the original. But you can take that impression, even if it's a bad impression, and make it into a completely different character. Like, I can't remember which one it was, but there's a character on The Simpsons that he said was a bad impersonation of somebody else, and that's actually how he came up with the character. He said, oh yeah, I was just doing a bad impersonation of this. And now that character has its own life, and it is a character in its own right that now people are going to try to do impressions of. So it's like this weird game of telephone where it's always a little bit different. But don't be afraid to make it your own. And listen, like I said, listen to absolutely everything, because you'll find characters in the weirdest places. You'll find characters at your family reunion that you'll want to make into something, and you'll be able to use, that weird uncle or that, annoying aunt or whatever. Like, you'll be able to work that into a character that would be great. You'll find them in the weirdest places, so make sure you're looking at it. And then, in terms of getting started, that's probably another question, actually, technically getting started with your business. But yeah, that's where I would tell you to really focus on your training. And all of this is stuff you can do yourself. Your school might offer acting, like drama or stuff like that. That's all good stuff to get into. Thank you. Hey.
When you're voicing a character, you're obviously doing a character.
Yes.
But the hard thing about that would be, it's a character that's in your voice and not as much as like your facial expressions and your movements on a stage. So my question is, how do you keep your voice in the same pitch and tone and keep your voice from slipping out of character? Because like a lot of that has to do with the rest of your body.
Sure.
So it can be difficult to like stay on
I
that.
actually use the rest of my body.
Ah.
I act out most of the stuff that I'm doing in the booth as if I'm playing it on camera. And it actually helps if we're, like in a Voltron session, they position the mics kind of in a little semicircle. So if I'm standing here, I can kind of see everybody. And I have to stay on mic, so my face still has to be here, but I'll kind of be able to position myself so I can still play it to the mic, but if I have a scene with Pidge, I can look at Bex and I can actually like act it out with her. And I can move my hands, and I can stand. One of the biggest ways that I'll get into Shiro's voice is I have to stand with really, really good posture and kind of almost like a military at ease. And that's kind of the default, where I'll go to that, I'll stand that way, and then every movement that'll come out of that, whether it'll be just the way I'll turn or whatever, I'll still act it out as if I'm playing Shiro on camera. And it helps inform the performance. Like it definitely makes a difference in that. And they edit out a lot of stuff. So they don't, and I don't mean like bloopers and stuff, I'm saying they edit out a lot of time. Because when we're actually playing these scenes, sometimes there will be pauses that don't end up in the final show because it's a 22-minute show. But while we're acting and we're actually playing the moment, we'll take whatever time we need, and we'll cut out the pauses that don't need to be there. But we've still kind of done that to be generous to the other actor, because it helps. I mean, even if you're doing a voice acting gig, if you're looking somebody in the eye when you're performing that, and they are acting it out as if it's on camera, you're gonna, if you're in that moment, that expression or that movement or whatever is gonna make you feel a different way that will possibly change your performance. You really just have to approach it very similarly to acting, and it helps a lot if you get to read with everybody. It's very different if you're in like an anime situation or a dubbing situation where it's just you. And if it's just you, sometimes it's actually, it helps that you are dubbing it because you can see what's on the screen. So you have that to inform. You can take your cues from the expressions in the animation or the set or whatever you're looking at. But when it's just us in the room, we have to do the best to make that happen with ourselves. So, long story long, getting back to what you're saying about staying in voice, that's one of the reasons why singing helps. Because singing really does help your pitch. And what they'll usually do for characters that you're not really playing all the time, like with Shiro, like I can get into that voice pretty easily. But, because it's also very similar to my voice, I really just have to pitch it down a little bit. But with other stuff that I don't play as much, or that I might have played a year ago and now I'm coming in to do something else, they usually have reference. They'll have reference audio from the first session, or they'll have reference audio from your audition, and they'll play them for you. And so you just kind of parrot it back. So they'll play the line to you, you kind of get into whatever vocal place you need to be, get to that, and after you do that for a few lines, then you're kind of there. And at that point, it becomes both your job to kind of be on top of it, but a lot of times your voice director will help you if you get out of that voice and they can hear it. They'll be like, we're getting a little from the voice, and then they'll play the reference again, and you just kind of, you recalibrate. But I'd say that, yeah, I mean, ear training and just getting used to hearing your own voice, you're going to be able to know where your placements are. And it's really, again, it's just a learning skill like anything else. Like once you have a voice, you kind of start to remember what it feels like, where you kind of have to push the air, where all the body stuff that you have to do to make it happen, if there is any of that. And the more you do it, the more you kind of go in and out of it, the more it helps. The easier it is to do. Like I'd say that it would help to if you're going to practice that, if you want to really practice a character that you have a hard time getting into, practice going in and out of it. So practice like doing the voice, and then going to your own voice, and like having a totally unrelated conversation, and going back into that voice. Because then you'll really know what you have to do to make that happen, and then it'll just become second nature. Thank you. Hello.
Hi. So I know there have been announcements of a couple of seasons of Voltron coming in the future, which is really exciting. And I was just wondering, of course, no spoilers, but when you are reading the lines, how informed are you of future seasons and what's going to happen to the characters? Do you know what's going to happen in season 6?
We know what is going to happen up to the point where we're recording. Like, if we're recording a show, that's when we know what happens. They don't really tell us, like, this is what our aim is for this season, or this is what's planned out here. Like, we don't really know until we get the scripts. Like, they don't tell us, like, where they're taking these characters. So we really have to kind of rely on what they give us and what the scripts are going to be. And it's, when I would get the scripts, it would be a shock sometimes to be like, oh my God, that happens? That's a spoiler, by the way. No, it's not. It's not. It's really not. But, you know, there's a lot of those moments. There's a lot of those moments. So, sometimes we're just a shock. There's no way for us to really know where they're going to take the show. They don't involve us in that part of the record. So when we see the script, we're just a shock. Hello.
This is a question that I had while sitting down, but what would you say would be your favorite thing that you've ever said or done with Shiro? Like your favorite thing that you've acted for them?
Honestly, like the first episode of season 2.
Yes.
The first episode of season 2, I love. Well, actually, there's two. There's the first episode of season 2. I loved how you start to see that Shiro has kind of a really weird sense of humor. Yes, where he's got like that gallows humor where he's poking fun at the fact that he very well might die and that his wings getting bigger all the time. Like I love that. I love that deep down under all of that composure and all of that, there's still that guy that makes the wrong joke, man. That's Shiro. I love that. I love that I had the opportunity to do it. And I also loved the scene right before Keith comes to save him. That got so dramatic where it just keeps the lizard things keep closing in and like it looks more and more hopeless, and then finally there's that point where they're all closing in and he's down on the ground and he's got to do something and he's looking around and he kind of summons his resolve, and before Keith gets there, he's going to do his best to try to take out all of these lizards, and it's probably not going to go very well if Keith doesn't show up. But all of that, we ended up doing a lot of those ADR cues in big long takes. And that's how, because a lot of when we go ADR, for those who don't know, it's automated dialogue replacement. It's also dubbing. It's where you get the finished video or almost finished video, and now you have to either replace lines that are already there, or if there's action exertions or fight sounds or anything like that, that's the point that we do them. We don't do the fight sounds for Voltron during the initial record. They animate the fights or all of the physical stuff, and then we add the sounds to that afterwards. But we'll get the list as like a big list of cues, and they break it down by grunt. So if there's a part where I have to jump, there's and then there's the landing of it, and those are two separate sounds that you can capture. So you end up seeing this huge list of stuff. But it doesn't feel organic if you take the jump and the land separately. And I'd rather say, let me just see this 30 seconds, this part of the scene, and then I'll just chase it. And that kind of stuff is the most fun to me, because that's where you're really almost physically acting out that character, because in the booth, if you're running, you gotta kind of make your body move as if you're running, so that your lungs are acting as if they would, and it informs your voice and all of that. But you also have to do it without making your clothes make noise, which is kind of hard. But I love those kind of things. I love those really dramatic fight scenes where you just get to chase the whole thing, because it's kind of like your Star Wars kid getting play act and do all the stuff right there in the booth. So I'd say those. And then the other one would be the stuff with Slav, because I love seeing Shiro finally lose. That's what broke him. Slav is a broken. Like, he's been through all of this other stuff. He's dealing with all this other stuff. He's mostly keeping it under control when he's not like making Sendak shooting him out of the ship, and they're possible only lead for where to find more power stuff. Shiro's made some bad moves, but Slav broke him. Slav just, yeah. That was hilarious. To see Shiro finally losing his last nerve was one of my favorite things in the show. And that was probably one of the most fun things to voice act.
It was fun to watch.
His slow.
Yeah. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey.
In recent years, reboots haven't been received very well. Before you made the show, were you kind of nervous, or was?
I'm sorry. Could you get a little bit closer to the mic?
Sure thing.
Thanks.
Before you made the show, were you nervous about the reboot not being received well, or did Netflix's previous success give you confidence?
Honestly, I didn't really. It wasn't Netflix that necessarily gave me confidence because I'd never really seen them do an animated show yet at that point when they were casting it, so I wasn't sure. I know that they had done animated shows, but I hadn't really watched a lot of the originals. But I think enough time had passed from the original where there had been time to breathe, and there had been some other attempts at rebooting it. And it was really when I started seeing the dialogue that I was like, this flows really well. The dialogue is really well written, the characters are fleshed out. And you can even tell that from the audition sides. I initially, when I first went for my callback for Voltron, I got called back for Shiro, but when I went to the callback, they also handed me Keaton and Lann sides. So I read for all three of these characters. And you can immediately tell exactly who the character was just from what they had in the audition. And the dialogue was great. It was good dialogue. I've gotten auditions for stuff, I won't say what it is, but I've gotten auditions for things where the dialogue is just garbage. And I'm like, you gotta make it work. You have to find ways to make that sound real and compelling and great. But I didn't have to work with these sides. It was easy. It was the right reads and the right feelings just kind of came naturally. So that's what gave me confidence, and this is going to be something different. And then once I got the job and I started reading the full scripts, I was like, this is different. This is, because I was riveted. When I would be reading the scripts, I couldn't put them down. It was something where I didn't even want to read it if there was TV on or if there was noise. I would actually go and I'd go retreat to a quiet place in the house so that I could just enjoy it and have the sounds in my head of what's going on and make the pictures in my mind. And when something makes you do that just from script, it's gotta be cool. And then when I saw the people I saw Andrea Romano was voice directing it, I saw that the people from Korra and Avatar were gonna be the studio that was doing it. I was like, oh, this is, okay, all the pieces are here. This has gotta be great. But you can never really bank on that. Because I thought Green Lantern the Animated Series was a great series, but for other reasons, it didn't really make it past 26 episodes, and it was mostly business reasons. So even if a lot of the pieces are there, you can't always assume that it's gonna be a winner. And I did see all the pieces there for Voltron. I always had my fingers crossed, and even now, it still continues to surpass my expectations. Just the response here at this con has been crazy. This is awesome. I'm so happy that all of you showed up to talk to me. It's neat. It's really, really cool. It's very humbling. And I'm very grateful to have you all here. But I think the first cue that I had that it was just going to be a monster hit was when we introduced the show at WonderCon. First time we introduced the show at WonderCon, and it was a Voltron panel, and nobody had met the cast yet. They were going to bring out the cast. And we were backstage, and all of a sudden we just heard the entire convention hall just chanting, Voltron, Voltron, Voltron. And it was crazy. It got us all hyped up, and we kind of haven't looked back since. So. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi. So during your free time, when you're hanging out with the rest of the crew, have you guys ever just randomly, spontaneously started voice acting? Role-playing just for fun?
Oh yeah, no, all the time.
What's some of the favorite or memorable funny ones that you could share?
The sessions themselves are hilarious because, we all have potty mouths, and so I'm sure there's tons of outtakes of every character saying very, very naughty things. And they're funny. I'd say that, man, Reese, who plays Corinne, is hysterical. Like, pee your pants, hysterical. Like, laugh where you can't stop. Like, part of my finest achievement as an actor is not ruining his takes by laughing in the middle of it. Like, being able to keep a straight face. Because he gives so much stuff that doesn't make it into the show necessarily, but that is consistent with the character. And here's the other thing, even if they don't take an ad-lib and put it into the show, the writers make note of that. The writers make note of what the actor did and then work it into future stuff. Or work where somebody may have gone with their ad-lib, like the direction of it or the intent of it or whatever. They'll find ways to kind of pepper that stuff in. Or if there's something that somebody said just in passing in a session, you know, they'll maybe find a way to work it into the plot or whatever. So it definitely does help. I can't remember any off the top of my head because again, like we record these things so far in advance that by the time they come out, like I've forgotten a bunch of them. And especially like the inner workings of the actual session itself, because the sessions are pretty quick. Like we're booked for 4 hours for an episode, and we'll usually do like maybe 2 hours to do the entire episode, and then sometimes not even that. Sometimes it's really fast. If we don't have the entire cast there, then we just kind of jump around and do the scenes that the cast that is there are in. And I totally forgot where I was going. It's been a long weekend. But yeah, no, I can't really remember a lot of the fun little anecdotes. But I do remember that Tyler and Reese are usually the biggest ad-libbers, the funniest ones. Jeremy does an amazing Corinne impression. To the point where he actually reads in for Reese when Reese isn't there. Because it's usually Andrea. Andrea will usually come back on the talkback, and so in her headphones, if somebody's not there, she'll read in so that we have something to play off. But with Jeremy, he reads in for Reese because it's perfect. He has a perfect Corinne. That's pretty much all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. So, season 1, episode 2. I gotta know. During the Paladin bonding training, when Shiro gets blasted with the little...
Doesn't say it.
Okay.
However, I have listened to it, and it really does sound like you said it. It does. But it's more, if you could solo the sound and have all of the other accompanying sound and walla and sound effects and music taken out, it sounds more like a surprise, you know, but with all the other stuff, it sounds like a bad word. I'm not saying Shiro wouldn't curse. I mean, Shiro's kind of a Boy Scout, but he didn't dare. I can definitively say that was not that word. But that's not to say that, you know, he hasn't said that. Hello, hello.
Two things.
Yes.
The first thing is, have you seen all of Voltron season 2?
Have I seen all of season 2? Yes. Yeah, I mentioned the first day.
And the second one is, what is your favorite episode of both seasons?
Of both seasons?
Yes.
Season 2 is Spaceball. Spaceball. Amazing episode. Spaceball made me feel like I was back in the 80s watching an 80s movie. Like, it was an 80s movie, and it was awesome. It was so cool to take that trip back. And then in the first season, oh man, I can't, it's, the seasons all kind of meshed together for me now. You know, I can't like pick out the exact one from that season, but I mean, Spaceball is still my favorite episode. Like, hands down. Love Spaceball. Hello, yeah, how's that? We got a cow on a floating platform that everybody's riding to run away from the Gara mall cop on a Segway. Like, how can you not like that? Like, that's the best episode. It's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, yeah, Shiro has his thing, and you know, Shiro's my dude. So like, yeah, he's got his whole journey, but like, I'm in it for them all.
No, yeah, that was legit one of those episodes, so not even bad. So obviously Shiro is Spaceman, like, obviously. So asking for someone who's
not here today,
Okay.
they want to know your thoughts and opinions on Space Dad and, like, I mean, dad jokes and Shiro. And, like, we kind of already covered the thing with, you know, growing everything. So I'm just curious, like, what Shiro's favorite joke would be, like, and how Space Dad is.
Shiro would probably like jokes that people would groan at. Like, he would like dad jokes. He would enjoy them. And you know what? I think dad jokes get a bad rap, because I enjoy dad jokes. And dad jokes are usually a lot more clever than people give them credit for, and I think that people don't like them because they're mad they didn't think of it. That's why. Because they're clever. Yes, thank you. Tell me exactly what I'm saying. Because a lot of them are clever, but they're clever in that way where you could have thought of that. Except the person who made the dad joke thought of it first. You missed out on that. So, yeah. Hello.
Hi. So I imagine you bond very well with these characters that you're voice acting, especially Shiro and some of the others you've done in the past. Do you ever find yourself sort of adopting personality traits of characters that you do voice act into yourself?
Yeah, actually, because I've been wanting to like cosplay as Shiro. But I need to get in like better shape, and like I'm a dad now, so like it's really hard to find time to work out, and it's also really hard to have time to like eat healthy food. So that's a bad combination. So whenever I'm feeling lazy, I have to tell myself, you gotta cosplay Shiro, man. You gotta get in Shiro shape. You gotta get in Shiro shape. And so then I started adopting all of them. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's definitely a give and take from me informing the character, and then that character now informing me. Absolutely, because again, these are all stories. All of these are stories that I love, and I mean, what do we really get from stories? We get things that inform our lives and show us a different point of view or whatever. And I mean, they wouldn't be good stories if we didn't take some of that to heart. So yeah, absolutely. A lot of these characters that I play, if they have something, if I see something in a character that resonates with me and points out something that I'm not doing that I should be doing, absolutely, I'm gonna look at that and say, oh, okay, weird place to find that, but I should definitely address that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a dad joke for Shiro.
Awesome.
How do you throw a party in space?
I know this one. You plan it.
You plan it.
Yes. See, that jokes great.
Okay, so how does it feel voice acting for somebody who's 6 years old?
It's a little weird. It's a little weird.
Would you think that he'd make those jokes to the crew often?
Which one, the 6-year-old jokes? I think the crew would probably make the jokes more to him. And he'd probably kind of smirk at it, and then he'd probably get tired of it. And it would probably be Lance that always makes the joke. Thank you. Hello.
So you may have gotten this kind of question before, but when you first started doing voice acting, how did you feel like this was going to be something that you were just going to continue to do for like the long haul? Like, yep, this is who I am now.
You know what's really weird is that it wasn't something that really became forefront in my mind until I was probably in my 20s. Like, I grew up in the entertainment industry. It was something that I knew from as long as I can remember. I have 3 sisters. We were all in the entertainment industry, and we, as child actors, we did commercials and like everything. I mean, we started out doing like extra work and kind of working our way up, and then doing TV shows and films, and I did some voiceover then. But when I was younger, they usually use adults to play kids, just because they can work them longer and more consistent performances and more directable, as opposed to kids who usually just kind of they parrot something back. A lot of more talented kids now. I think there's a lot more exposure to a lot more media at a younger age, and so they kind of get into that groove right away. So I mean, I've seen some really, really talented young voice actors like lately. It's great to see. But wait, hold on. I'm totally brain farting. What was the question? Oh, how did it feel? Okay, yeah. So I'm back. I'm back. I'm here. Shiro's not gone. So yeah, like it was almost something I kind of took for granted in a way, because it was always there. It was something that I had always done, and it was always part of my life. So it wasn't until I was really in my 20s and like the writer's strike, when the writer's strike happened and it kind of shut down a lot of TV production and I started doing more voiceover, it wasn't until like stuff dried up on that side and stuff started happening here, and then I started really getting to know a lot of the people that I've been working with for so long on a more personal level, and seeing how great the business was, that it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I really, I don't want to say took it seriously, but really realized that that's what I wanted to do, and that I couldn't see myself doing anything else other than acting. And not, I wouldn't limit myself to voice acting. I still like on-camera acting. I still do a lot of mocap, which is kind of similar. It's kind of a mix of the two, and I love it. But I didn't really have that realization until I was an adult, until I was actually like out on my own, and I'm like, this is what I love to do. I never had that realization as a child. It was just, I got shoveled around, and this was what I did. I just didn't know that that's what I wanted to do. So it took a little bit of realization. Now I'm here for the long haul. Thank you. Hello.
My question is, I just noticed that you were also the voice of Lann from World of Final Fantasy.
Yes.
And my question is, what were your likes and dislikes, and were there any awkward moments where you're like wanted to be like slapping at it because it's like, why would you do this, Lann?
Well, you always want to slap Lann. For those who haven't played World of Final Fantasy, Lann, there's Lann and Rain, and they're these twins. And Rain is she's much more put together than Lann. She's a little snarky, she can kind of be a little mean sometimes, but Lann is just a lovable idiot. He's an idiot. But he kind of always falls into doing the right thing, but not necessarily because he meant to, but he'll take credit for it. But he's lovable, he's hilarious. You always want to slap him. Absolutely. The process for that game was kind of difficult. That was something where it was completely already recorded in Japanese already. And we had to match, there was no picture to match it to. But I had to basically listen to the Japanese, match not only the external timing, which is start to finish, but the internal timing. So like all of their word pauses and phrasing and all of that, I had to still match in the English. And then there was also somebody there who was like a consultant who also spoke Japanese and English fluently, who now had to listen to your performance and make sure that the actual performance was still in tune with what the intent of the Japanese was. So this was a long process recording this game, because there's a lot of dialogue in that game, and it literally takes you a couple minutes to do each line, because you have to listen to it twice, so that you get the timing down, then you have to do it twice. Then they'll go and compare it to the first one to see if like it fits time-wise, and if not, if they can adjust it. If it's not out enough, they can't adjust it. And then if it is that, now is the meaning right? Is his emotional state here the same as it was in the Japanese? Because Japanese and American voice acting are very, very different, very, very different. So, I mean, that was a long process. I'd say that the process of that game was more frustrating for me than long. But yeah, I love Lann. I have friends like that.
Like, were there any scenes where you just want to be like, smack him like long, why?
All the time. Yeah, and Lann makes a lot of bad jokes. So it's probably when he would make bad jokes. And here I am talking bad about bad jokes when I just said I love bad jokes. So maybe I need to stop.
Because there was that one scene where I'm just like, no, I'm done. I'm like getting people out the window because I'm like, I can't understand it most of the time.
Oh man, that's funny.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey there.
Hey.
I'm wondering which Paladin would you trust the most, and which would you trust the least to watch your kids?
I would probably trust Lance the least. Because Lance is just like, his brain's in 10 million places at once, and like, you know, if he would get a phone call from like a cute girl, he's gonna take that phone call, and like he's gonna be doing Lord knows what in the other room and breaking stuff and all of that. So, I mean, Lance is always in Lance's world. So, I mean, on those grounds, I probably would trust him the least. He's probably not gonna be that responsible. My kids would probably love Lance, because when Lance was there, he'd be like the life of the party. He'd be like, Uncle Lance, Uncle Lance. But, you know, when's Uncle Lance gonna like go want to take the phone call from this cute girl that he, you know, was just hitting on, and now, oh, wait, where are my kids? Why are you over here? What's going on? That would be Lance. As far as the most, I mean, there's pretty much anyone else. I mean, Keith would watch them begrudgingly, and don't do that, don't do that. And then Hunk would be awesome. Hunk would have like meals and have like the dopest little, like cupcakes, and he would probably get the kids into the whole cooking process. He would teach, like, they would learn something from Hunk. Or Pidge. I mean, Pidge would have like a system. Pidge would have like proximity sensors set up so they leave the area, and then Shiro watches them all the time, so it's like, let Shiro have a break.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
So I was just wondering, so when you have a character like Lann versus like a character like Shiro, if there's like a personality type that you might find a little more challenging versus another personality type, and also if there's like a kind of character that you've never voiced before that you might be interested in the future.
I'm sorry, could you get a little closer for the last part?
If there's like a kind of character, like a villain or something that you might like to be interested in voicing in the future.
Okay, like a specific one. Wow. I actually haven't given a lot of thought to that one. I would have to think about that. I do like playing villainous characters because I don't really get to do them often. And I like finding the creative ways to make them not just a villain. Like, I like finding, because the villains don't think they're a villain, the villains don't think they're doing the right thing. And it's always fun to really find that, find the motivation behind that. So I would like to play more villain characters in general, like not necessarily anything specific. And what was the first part you said about?
If there's like a personality, like someone like Lann versus someone like Shiro that might be a little more challenging versus another one.
I would say that Shiro is probably more challenging because he doesn't show a lot of emotion, and I do. Like, I really can't hide what I'm feeling, like in real life. You'll see if I'm upset or if I'm happy or whatever. Shiro holds a lot of that to the vest, and sometimes that's a lot harder to play and have it read on just voice. You know, a lot of times if you have your expressions and your movement, it's one thing, but when you're just trying to get across that and not have him sound robotic or emotionless or anything, because he's not, I think that those are a little bit more challenging because they're more nuanced. You have to find subtler ways to make those emotions visible and consistent with the character. Because I'm kind of I like making jokes and I like being silly and all of that, so I'm probably closer to Lann in my real personality. I definitely have a lot of Shiro in my personality in terms of just like the regimentedness and focus and trying to have the patience. But yeah, I'd say I'm probably closer to Lann. That probably comes easier to me, the wisecracking and all of that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello there.
How's it going?
Well, I'm doing very good.
Doing good.
Oh, my question was actually fairly similar to a question. And it was, let's say when you're an actor, it's somewhat of a game of pretend, a little bit. And I was wondering, when it comes to the characters that you do portray, you ever recognize that dissonance let's say, do certain facets of your own personality come out of the character?
Oh, of course.
Some parts of them come out in you too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's getting back to one of the other questions where, I mean, every character you're drawing from your own experience. So there's always going to be a lot of yourself in every character that you play, because everything that you're reading, the script, when you read the script, when you read the interactions with the other characters, you're still doing it from your own lens. You're still doing it from the lens that's shaped from all of your experiences and your own worldview. So you're going to bring all of that to your character. And that's why two people that have almost an identical voice, may even look the same, may have kind of grown up the same, they're still going to bring something totally different to the character, even if they sound the same, like vocally, because their experiences are going to shape their performance in a totally different way. And on the other side of that, yeah, like I definitely will take some stuff from characters. Like if like I said before, if I learned something from the character that never occurred to me in my own life, I'd be silly not to take that and adopt it and try to better myself, you know. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Hello.
Okay, so knowing that you do like to sing, would you ever, like, if Voltron ever did a musical episode?
Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be awesome.
And tying into that, like, what do you think Shiro would sing?
I haven't really given a lot of thought to what kind of music Shiro would sing or what his voice would even sound like. I don't know. I don't know if he would be like a crooner or if he would like. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I put on one of my social media things. I did Rick Astley, and kind of part of me thinks that Shiro would really love that song. I think that's probably Shiro's favorite song. He probably jams out to Rick Astley, Wham, you know, like 80s, like cheesy 80s stuff.
Yeah, that was a great skit.
Thank you.
Hello. Really quick question.
Yes.
Do you remember voicing Tucker?
Tucker. In
The commercial?
Tucker.
The dinosaur appears on encyclopedia?
Wait a second, was this Recycle Rex?
Yeah.
Yes! I was like 7 or 8 years old when I did that. Yeah, no, there was this project was actually ahead of its time. It was called Recycle Rex. And yeah, this was a long time ago, and it was all about, you know, the environment and pushing recycling and back before it really was a big deal, but before everybody thought it was a big deal. And yeah, I don't like really remember it, but I remember the project. I remember that time in my life a little bit. But yeah, that was one of my earliest things, voiceover wise.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Wow, very cool to bring that up.
Hello. I remember you a lot more back when you voiced Spider-Man.
Sure.
Thank you. Excellent job, by the way.
Thank you.
And I remember there was a series of YouTube videos where you're reading the captions of Spider-Man.
Oh, the memes, yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? What's your favorite meme?
Let me see. I mean, we got kids here, so I really can't. They're not memes for kids. They got a lot of cursing and stuff in them, and I bleep them out. But I mean, you know what I'm saying. So, I like all of the ones that I put in there. Like I'd say if I had to pick one, there was this one where like it's Spidey kind of playing a guitar or pretending like he's playing a guitar, and it says like the wee wow wee wow. And when I actually read it, it almost sounded exactly like the guitar intro solo for Spectacular Spider-Man. So I mean, that was in the third one, and like that was just silly to me because I was like, somebody made this meme wee-wawing Spectacular Spider-Man, or maybe they saw the meme and wrote the song, or I don't know. It's all just like memeception stuff. But I like a lot of the memes that are on there. The ones that I put on there, I think, are the funniest ones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So when you started out, your parents kind of put you into it? Did they say, hey, we have something fun for you to do? Or did you ask them, can I do this?
Well, I was always kind of like a big personality as a kid. Like, I used to dress up as He-Man in a costume that my grandma made me. And I'm sure that there are pictures, and I'll post them on the Throwback Fest. But basically, I mean, but I wore it with cowboy boots, because that's what you do. And yeah, I mean, it was really just like a harness and briefs that I ran around the grocery store in. I had the power. I had a cape too, because He-Man didn't have a cape, and I thought that was a glaring oversight. So that was like what I would do. I also like would pronounce everything, like I would really make sure to pronounce everything perfectly, so everything was like my T's and my S's, and when I was really little, like 3, 4 years old. And I would just go up and talk to adults, like I didn't care. And I wasn't even involved in the industry yet. My older sister would do like talent competitions, and she was a really good singer, and so she would do these competitions, and she ended up getting an agent from that. And she was out for an audition for like a commercial. And I was just there tagging along. Wasn't there for the audition, but I just went up and started talking to the lady who was calling people in for the audition, and she was talking to me, and because I'm this little kid that just goes up and starts talking to her. And so they ended up bringing me into the audition, and I ended up getting this commercial. My sister didn't. She still hates me. And that kind of, I ended up like signing up the same agency, and then that kind of started it. Like it really was just, my sister was already in it, and then I kind of did the thing that I should have done when I needed to do the thing without knowing it, and then just kind of fell into it.
Are they in the industry still?
My older sister she has like a show for, like a children's show, that she's worked out some musical show, it's really good. My youngest sister is in a lot of production now. She was working with Green Hat Films, and now she's doing a bunch of other stuff. And then the middle sister, she's younger than me, but she's not the youngest one. She's not in the business anymore. She just had a baby, so she's a mom, doing a mom thing. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
5-minute warning, sir. 5-minute
Is it
warning.
an hour already?
It has been, according to time.
Hello.
So we were talking about like all the different voices you do. I was wondering, what is your favorite voice? Or alternatively, what is the weirdest voice you have ever done?
Weirdest voice I've ever done. I mean, I voiced Accelerate on Ben 10, and that's a very weird voice for me. It's very like high-pitched and fast. It's kind of like the Roadrunner. And then I'd say the weirdest character I ever voiced was in the Mad Max video game. There's a character named Jeep who he's nuts. He's really tweaky and out there. And I actually got to do a lot of the mocap for that as well, so it was fun to get into that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
I was wondering about your thoughts about the change to Shiro's role in Space Mall, or he was supposed to be trying to find a parking spot for the entire episode.
I didn't, and for those of you who don't know this, there was an original concept of Space Mall where while they were in the mall, Shiro wasn't out, bonding with his lion and all, or in bonding with his lion. He wasn't doing that. He was actually looking for a place to park in the mall. And I'm like, why didn't you give me Shiro looking for a place in the mall? Amazing. So I wish that, I wish that Space Mall would come back. They gotta go back to Space Mall. I love that. And maybe Shiro would need to find a parking space. I would love to see that. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's perfect.
Hi.
Yes.
If Lann were to ever teach Shiro pickup lines, who would he use them on and what would he say?
I don't know who you would use them on. They really haven't run into anybody in the space that Shiro's shown interest to. I don't think he would hit on stuff. He might. But yeah, I don't know. I think that I don't know if Shiro would actually have like pickup lines. I think Shiro's the kind of guy who would literally just talk, just start up a conversation and not really have that pretense of it trying to be a thing. I don't think that he would kind of approach it like Lance would. I think that he would just kind of sit back and let whatever happen happen. Yeah, I don't think that Shiro's like a pickup line kind of guy. I don't see him that way. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a request to ask this from one of my friends.
Okay.
What she wanted to say, or not necessarily, what wanted to ask is, can you do that one very special line from Shiro, season 2, episode 1? That very special line.
What's the special line?
When they crash into the planet.
What does he say? Oh wait, so which line? Oh, you're expecting me to remember the most verbose line that Shiro has had in the show? That he just rattles off? I can't remember that. I'll say if somebody gets me a transcript of it, but I don't remember that line off the top of my head. I'll butcher it, man. I'll butcher it. I'll stack it out to Shiro and say, I don't remember. If you have a transcript, I'd do it for you, but yeah, I can't remember it. I can't remember. We don't memorize all of our scripts.
Hi.
Hello.
So we all know how pretty Shiro has been drawn.
Yes.
Does he canonlly wear eyeliner? I gotta know.
I do not think so. I cannot. Well, and I'll give my reasoning behind it. I think that those are just his eyes. I think he's that awesome. Because it could be two things. He's Japanese. It could be the artist interpreting his eye shape and that, or his lashes could do that. Mine kind of flip a little bit, not like that, but I mean, my sons do. My son, when he blinks, he can like brush off his cheeks when he blinks. It's crazy. Like his eyelashes are crazy long, and would probably do that. But I don't think he would wear eyeliner because Shiro is always prepared. Always prepared. And I can't justify that he would risk having a tactical disadvantage in a fight by having something right here in his vision, no matter how waterproof it is. There's not just water in some of these planets. It could be some kind of mist or vapor that it's not that proof, and now it's going to get in his eyes and now he's screwed. So I can't imagine that he would possibly throw a fight like that way just to have eyeliner, you know?
He's just naturally that pretty.
He's just naturally that great looking, yes.
Thank you.
Have you seen Shiro? He's like a god. It's crazy. If I need to, we'll see. Because if I get into a fight, I mean, I gotta be prepared.
Josh, an hour is far too short a time to spend with you. This has been amazing. Thank you.
You guys have been awesome. Thank you for the great question.